5-second board is raised and we're ready to get underway with the third race of the afternoon. The RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship. 20 minutes of racing gets underway now, and a great sound as the Superbike engines, 1000C engines, are unleashed, and it's a good start from Richard Webb then, the winner from yesterday, as he heads down into Clervaux for the first time with the reigning champion number 1, Ryan Yarrow, right behind him. A mixture of Spires and Mittels towards the front of the field in this race, and they turn their way through Hawthorne for the first time. The Global GT Light Edge making up 1 or 2 places from the start, but it's the Spires that are ahead, filling the first 2 places, with Paul Smith in 3rd place at the moment in his Mittel as they head down to Tower Corner for the first time. It's another Mittel in 4th place. That is the number 2 car of Michael Roots, who was in 2nd place yesterday.
Yeah, he was passed by Paul Smith, who started really well in that Mattel, which has had some work on it by the Smith family. Not sure what the problems were at the end of yesterday, which dropped him back, but Paul Smith, good to see him out there and running right at the front. And the field come through. They were really quick Spire at the end there through Barcott. Hopefully got the car stopped for Sonny. But here's Richard Webb then into the complex, the race leader. Some battles a bit further back there. Dan Clues, the former F1000 champion, trying to get past Colin Chapman, who's been in this championship pretty much since it started. And then the rest of the field flow their way through. Is that, yeah, it's Paul Rogers. That's the quick Spire at the back. Not sure what happened to him then. So Paul Rogers from the 4th row of the grid is near the back. So he's the one trying to make up places.
On to lap 2 of this race then. Down to Clervaux Corner they go. There is the battle up for 3rd place. The 2 Mittels. Paul Smith, 4-time Formula V champion, and the number 2 car of Michael Roots, who has been racing in this category for a couple of years now. Did some low cost a few years ago as well. Spent a lot of time karting with Scott Mittell, who with Father Ian is the man behind the Mittell Cars concern, who run cars in a variety of different categories now, as well as building their own cars too. There's Colin Chapman going through shot, and behind him the number 8 car of Dan Clues. He switched from F1000. The 21 car you can see there, that's Phil Hutchins in the ex-Victor Newman Mittell, just ahead of Jonathan McGill, who is another sort of ever-present there in the upper midfield and a contender for the Sporting Cup this season. But there's Michael Roots then in 4th place.
Yeah, he's right on terms, isn't he, with Paul Smith as they turn their way then down towards the complex. Ryan Yarrow going with Richard Webb today. Richard Webb yesterday in what we had some changeable conditions did win by 17 seconds, but so far today he's unable to get away. Then Smith and Roots come through next, and not dropping off too much is Matt Thomas, who had a really good race yesterday up the field. He climbed to 7th after an issue early on, but for 3rd the 2 Mittels are going to be very close up towards Clervaux. Here comes Michael Roots up the inside of Paul Smith. Has he got alongside? I think he has, but he has to back out of it, and Paul Smith stays ahead. But that was very close as they turned into the very quick first corner.
Absolutely right, and they're not too far behind the 2 leaders either, although out front Richard Webb, as he did yesterday, is just starting to stretch his legs. He actually won by more than 17 seconds in the end in yesterday's races. So, the way things are going at the minute, he's not pulling away at quite that rate so far today. A big moment there for Matt Thomas, number 77, in 5th position. He was on the brakes for Tower Corner and the car was very unsettled. He got it sorted out though and turned in successfully, but a slightly worrying moment I would think for Matt Thomas in the 5th place car. So Smith on board with him, not on board with him, but watching him now, number 14, turning his way through Sunny Corner. Roots just behind. Just about a second and a half between Yarrow in 2nd and Smith in 3rd, but it's Spires 1st and 2nd at the moment. That brand new works Spire for Richard Webb, the championship sponsor from RLM. And Ryan Yarrow in the car that's a few years old. It's the ex-Billy Olbone car. It was a works car, but it's had developed by Ryle in the meantime. We're watching, though, the 2 Mittels on track battling for 3rd.
Yeah, it was a lap ago, wasn't it, where Michael Roots had a go into Clervaux. I don't think it's close enough this time. Richard Webb has just done the fastest lap we've ever seen from a Sports 1000 car around Croft, a 1 minute 23.96. Quicker than qualifying, quicker than the race yesterday, and much quicker than anybody's gone before this year. So Richard Webb absolutely flying along. In 2nd place, Ryan Yarrow wasn't as quick as Paul Smith on the previous lap, so we'll see if anything develops there. But we're looking now at the 12th place car, which is James Foley's Spire, who's just been passed by Paul Rogers, who's returning this year in a new car to him, a Spire GT3. Had a problem at the start of the race, but again, Paul Rogers, I think he raced a Contour, wasn't it, in the past when the championship was known as RGB.
Yeah, that's right. So he was fourth yesterday on his return, but his lap times weren't quite as quick as that, so he started in 8th, but then fell back at the start in any case. That's the Matt Thomas car in 5th place, Colin Chapman 6th, Dan Clues in 7th, the 2020 F1000 champion, having his first competitive taste of Sports 1000 this weekend, so sticking with 1000c engined cars. Much closer, isn't it now, for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. There was, what, 1.1 seconds between Yarrow and Smith at the beginning of this lap, which is the 4th lap of the race, but there's less than that now as they come up to the line. The gap might be down to about probably 6/10 or something like that as they cross the line this time. In fact, it's 9/10 of a second, so a little bit more than I thought. It was actually less than that as they went through the complex.
Yeah, the Spire got off the hairpin really well, didn't it, of Ryan Yarrow? But over the last couple of laps now, Paul Smith has been able to bring that gap down, despite being under pressure all the time from Michael Roots, as they make their way then up towards Tower Bend. They get there so quickly, don't they, these bike-engined sports cars. And there is Michael Roots then in 4th place. The gap first to second, by the way, 4 seconds, and Richard Webb did another lap record, a 1 minute 23.66. That's 7/10 quicker than he went yesterday, but the effects on there didn't sound great for Richard Webb getting through Sunny safely, did it? It sounded like it didn't sound right anyway to me, but it's still there.
It's still there. That's a relief. You know, we could hear the sound of that. We couldn't see what was going on with the car, but he's still convincingly ahead. About 4 seconds it was at the start of the lap. The 2nd, 3rd and 4th right together. It'll be interesting to see if, again, Yarrow, as he comes out of the hairpin, can build the advantage over Smith and Roots, who are a bit closer together again this time. And Roots just thinks about having a look at the inside at the hairpin to get away from Smith. And yes, again, it's a great exit. The Spire certainly has superior acceleration out of the slow corners, but now for 3rd and 4th, they were going to be side by side down towards Clervaux corner. Roots has got his car all the way up the inside this time. Surely he's going to go through at Clervaux, and yes, he does. Number 2, Michael Roots, takes 3rd place away from Paul Smith at the start of lap 6.
So is it the Spire's good off the hairpin, or is it that Paul Smith isn't great
Well,
off the
possibly.
hairpin? Because he lost time, obviously, to Ryan Yarrow, but that time he lost a place to Michael Roots. And now that Roots is ahead, can he go after Ryan Yarrow? Richard Webb's last lap wasn't as quick as he had been doing, but he was still quicker than everybody else. So his gap now up to 5 seconds. There is Paul Smith, the car starting to slide around underneath him, the 4-time V champion. And now he turns his way onto the Jim Clark S's, and it does seem that Michael Roots is starting to get away then. And then they break down a gear into Sunny, and they carry lots of speed through. These are by far the quickest cars that we have at Croft today. And there is Yarrow then in 2nd, number 1. Number 2 is in 3rd, that is Michael Roots, and then 14 Paul Smith. Not dropping that far behind them is Matt Thomas, is he? Who continues to do a great job. Actually, on the last lap, Matt Thomas was quicker than the 3 cars in front of him on a 1 minute 25.01, which is the 2nd fastest car in the whole race.
Yeah, I was going to say, Thomas looks to be getting away from Colin Chapman in the background, and that certainly seems to be the case. Chapman, who's just about to come into your shot now, is still trying to keep behind him the number 8 car after Dan Clues. There he is, over the line. That's the battle for 6th and 7th. The gap back now to 8th place. Phil Hutchins, number 21, has got Jonathan McGill, 72 behind him, with Paul Rogers, 43, and the Spire rounding out the top 10. But we're watching Dan Clues here in that Mattel.
Yeah, it's a brand new, newly built car for this year behind the Mattel Cars outfit. And Dan Clues, still getting up to speed. Because an F1000 car is quite a unique driving style, doesn't it? Where Sports 1000 car perhaps a bit more standard, and he's getting used to it all the time on this cross circuit, and he's trying to get past Colin Chapman, unable to do it. By the way, Yarrow and Roots went quicker on the last lap. They're into the 24s now, and Roots is going quicker than Yarrow. So as the race goes on, the battle for 2nd could develop, but the battle for 6th is on now, with Colin Chapman and Dan Clues turning their way now down in towards Sunny. Great to see Colin Chapman's car now in that livery that we've been so used to him having for all the years after last year being more in the work Spire colours.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook Dan Lana, another sometime Sports 1000 competitor, had done it up in a sort of police car livery, because it does have that slight look about it, doesn't it? He's keeping Dan Clues at bay for the moment at least, 6th and 7th, Chapman and Clues, the Spire and the Mattel. They're going to go over the line again with very little to choose between them. And they're going to head out. They can see Dan Clues' pit board being hung out from the pit wall. Global lights now in the course of being lapped. 600cc Yamaha engined cars. Not part of the main Sports 1000 Championship, but racing in an invitation class this weekend. It's good to have them with us. We're due to have a couple more, but COVID got in the way of a couple of the Irish drivers travelling. So Clues chasing after Chapman down towards Tower Corner. That's the battle for 6th. It's the 127 car Ian Mitchell that they've just lapped.
Global GT light cars have been around for a long time now, haven't they? I guess they're quite old cars now.
Yeah, more than 2 decades. They had their own standalone championship in the UK, and still do, I think, in the Republic of Ireland, with occasional races taking place in the UK as well.
I wonder if that noise we heard when they brake hard into Sunny, the splitter just hits on the ground, and that's what sounded a bit off earlier on. But here is Chapman, still ahead of Dan Clues. They turn their way onto the complex. Meanwhile, it's the same order up front, with a gap that's getting bigger still between the top two. Yesterday we had 14 laps in that race that featured some changing conditions, so whether we'll be able to squeeze an extra lap out today, we are yet to see. Ryan Yarrow, by the way, across the line, the second place man, has just done his personal best lap of 1 minute 24.1, just half a second slower than Richard Webb did earlier. So he's going quickly, just not as quickly as Richard Webb was able to, and we had a spinner.
Yeah, we have. That's the number 71, James Foley, making his return to Sports 1000 this weekend. He was in 12th position. I think he probably will still be in 12th because he's got a bit of a gap back to Ian Hutchinson, who was 13th. And yes, he's still ahead of Hutchinson.
Well, Dan Clues there for a moment was a bit closer to Colin Chapman than the previous lap, but no, I think they're pretty much as they were as they turn their way through Tower, 6th and 7th. And they're a decent gap ahead of Phil Hutchins, Jonathan McGill, and now Paul Rogers has got himself into the top 10. And Rogers might be able to pick a couple more off before the end of this race. So we'll pick up on that a bit later. But for now, it's Colin Chapman that we watch in 6th position. And he turns his way out of Sunny then and up towards the complex for this, the 9th lap. And Clues just has a little faint look to the inside, but wasn't really able to make it. I think quite difficult track for these cars to be able to make a successful overtake.
Yellow flags down the start line. There's a car that's pulled off. Yes, it's Foley's car that's pulled off, so possibly a mechanical issue with that car as well. It induced the spin, and he's pulled off now down the start and finish race. So James Foley, who was 12th, out of the race.
Meanwhile, coming out of the hairpin, we've got a 3-car battle for 8th position. Not sure if we'll be able to pick that up. And they're all going to be side by side into the yellow flag zone. But before they get there, I think... Oh, no, they weren't. No, that's we're going to be difficult, I think, because there were yellow flags coming out of the hairpin, but going into the hairpin, Phil Hutchins made a mistake, which allowed Jonathan McGill to get through. And then Paul Rogers is joining in. He's in 10th position. As they make their way into Hawthorne. But actually for 6th, just as we cut away now, Dan Clues decides to challenge Colin Chapman. So we pick up on that again. Typical, isn't it, when you look away at another battle, something goes on in the battle we've been watching. But no, Colin Chapman's able to hang on.
Richard Webb's just gone faster again at 123.64 he's done now, so reducing his own lap record still further.
That's 1.5 seconds pretty much under the previous lap record before this weekend, which is extraordinary pace. 1 year on from last year. So Ryan Yarrow's going a lot faster than he went here last year, but it's just Richard Webb's going even faster than that and leads by 7 seconds.
He is. Still watching this fight for 6th. Colin Chapman and Dan Clues then, 63 and 8 respectively. These two of the closest cars together on track at the moment, I would say. There's also that battle a little bit further back going on as well, the McGill Hutchins Rogers strap for 8th, 9th and 10th. But that sort of sorted itself out now, and Hutchins is now well and truly at the back of that group. So yes, that battle for 6th is the closest battle of the race as things stand. They're heading into Clervaux corner now.
Yeah, we're just going to pick up on this battle for 8 so you can see what's happened. Jonathan McGill, there is in 8th. I think Will Rogers is catching him again, and then Phil Hutchins, for whatever reason, has had a poor couple of laps and has dropped down to 10th position and dropped quite a long way back towards the clutches of Cole Austin there. And then through in 12th place will come Ian Hutchinson in a moment. He's just coming out of the hairpin behind a lapped car. And then Stephen Dean is in 13th. But Paul Rogers has already got past Jonathan McGill, so turns out it wasn't as sorted as it looked a few corners ago.
Oh, problems as well out of the hairpin for number 9. Ian Hutchinson, his car has pulled off onto the grass. He's got no drive. He's out of the race. You can just see him there, just beyond the marshal's post. You can see that's the APE Racing entered Spire GT3 out of the race. Sometime moped racer Ian Hutchinson. Sadly, his Spire has now got even less pace than the moped would have done.
So there's Paul Rogers then, up to 8th position, finished 4th yesterday in his newly acquired Spire GT3S. There's Jonathan McGill, who's just lost that place. He's 4 in 9th. You can see Phil Hutchins is pushing on again after losing time on the last couple of laps in 10th and then behind Cole Austin there in P11. I think that's the ex-Matt Higginson championship winning car. There's the race leader, Richard Webb. He's just lapped the leading global GT light of Gary Mitchell. He's 8 seconds now ahead of Ryan Yarrow and Michael Rooks. Paul Smith has dropped. Paul Smith is stopping. So just coming out the chicane. Oh, the car had stopped and now it's started to pick up some pace again. There he is on the screen. Paul Smith then in problems again. It seems the car just won't run smoothly for a full race distance, does it?
No, it doesn't seem to. So Michael Roots now well clear in 3rd place. Still half a second or so behind Ryan Yarrow. They're about 8 seconds behind the race leader, Richard Webb, the Leicestershire driver and championship sponsor. But there's Yarrow then in that number 1 car, the reigning champion. Started racing Sports 1000 in 2018, the half season. It was 4th in the championship in 19 and the champion in 2020 and then 2021. He did about 10 years of karting in his youth, and had several years out before getting involved in car racing. And he says of Sports 1000 that he probably won't ever race anything else. Everything else seems a lesser balance of performance versus pound, he says, which is a very good way of putting it. Sort of bang for your buck in Sports 1000 racing. But here, he's still got his work out for the last couple of laps or so to keep Michael Roots at bay.
That's right. So they've got to get past the Gary Mitchell Global GT lights with their extra power. They can do that on the run up towards the Tower corner, and then they turn right through the bend and out again. The Spire ahead of the Mattel, and Michael Roots has yet really been able to challenge Ryan Yarrow. He's been close to him, but not as close as he was to Paul Smith,
who is into the pit lane. Paul Smith into the pit lane and out of the race. We saw those problems he had half a lap or so ago, and now he's retired. There he is into the pit lane with just 2 minutes left on the clock. So real disappointment for the multiple Formula V champion.
Here is Richard Webb, who might be able to squeeze 2 further laps into the race. Haven't really seen much of him all weekend because he's been so far ahead of everybody else. But it's been a super performance from Richard Webb, who's doesn't really tend to do full seasons in categories, but he's got a lot of experience and done very well in the categories when he has been racing.
Yep, absolutely. He's done various different things. He's playing the sevens. He's been the Class F champion in RGB as it was a few years ago. He's done some racing in Sports Prototype Cup and bike sports as well. Used to race motorcycles too. But here's this battle for second still, and it's last year's champion and last year's runner-up, Ryan Yarrow and Michael Roots, competing over the final podium positions here, really. Going to have more back-marker lappery to deal with momentarily as they head down towards Tower Corner once again for the penultimate time now, we reckon. Yarrow and Roots, Spire and Mattel. Roots had race wins during the course of last season. Flicks through the left-hander at the Jim Clark S, is now the right. They'll get past the number 127 Ian Mitchell Global GT light there easily enough.
Last year it was 4 wins for Michael Roots to the 7 of Ryan Yarrow, and looks like they're going to, in their battle between them, it's going to, at this point, it looks like we won each, doesn't it? Yesterday with Michael Roots ahead, Today, Ryan Yarrow is ahead, but not by very much, with one further lap to go. Race leader Richard Webb accelerating towards the last lap board. There he goes.
He is.
When he gets that last lap board, about of a second isn't over, but Yarrow does seem to just have that traction off the hairpin, which helps him down to Clairvaux without a real challenge.
Fight for fifth place now is still going on as well between Colin Chapman and Dan Clues. That's not yet resolved itself, but we'll stick with this fight for second as they both use quite a lot of curb at the second part of Clairvaux, now through Hawthorne, then into the chicane that brings them onto the back straight, past the old pit lane from the old triangular circuit here at Croft, and in towards the left-hand kink, then the right-hander at Tower Corner, turning their way through Tower now. Not sure Michael Roots here has got an answer to Ryan Yarrow over this last half of lap. What do you reckon, Josh?
Yeah, it seems he's close, isn't he? Just doesn't seem like we've seen a real challenge for that position. Roots drops off the circuit a bit wide there into out of Jim Clark S's, and I think that might have stopped any challenge that might have come. But for Richard Webb, nobody's been able to challenge him all weekend, and it's been an outstanding pace that the championship sponsor has driven in this new Spire RGBR, as it's named.
Yep, Paul Nightingale's prepared this. Over the line goes Richard Webb now to take victory in round 2 of the RLM Racing Bike Sports 1000, I should say, championship. Second place goes the way of Ryan Yarrow. Michael Roots is third. The gap from first to second was just under 9 seconds in the end. Fourth place is going to go to Matt Thomas with plenty of tag tape on his car. Fifth is going to go to number 63, Colin Chapman. Sixth, number 8, the Mattel of Dan Clues, as they were just about on the point of lapping the 2 Global GT lights, which got themselves together, albeit a lap apart. And then a gap back to 7th.
Yeah, which saw a challenge into the complex, Jonathan McGill, but he locked up and went horribly wrong, so therefore Paul Rogers is able to hang on after getting past McGill a few laps ago, so they come through. Rogers ahead of McGill. Phil Hutchins will be finished ninth and completing the top 10 for Cole Austin. But yeah, it's a great weekend then for Richard Webb. I'm sure he'd thoroughly enjoyed that, as Stephen Dean, who was... No, sorry, that was Cole Austin, wasn't it? Runs off the road out of the hairpin on the last lap, but he still doesn't lose the place. He still finishes 10th.
Well, again, some good entertainment there. Richard Webb, though, dominant, 8 seconds his victory margin. He's looking pretty strong form as this bike sports campaign gets underway.
We've got a change to the result. Ryan Yarrow is getting penalised for exceeding track limits, so Michael Roots will take second, I reckon, when the official results come out later.
Okay, let's see what they look like on the timing screen, though. And on that basis, it was Richard Webb that took the win. Second on the road is number 1, Ryan Yarrow, and third, Michael Roots, number 2, but we think that's going to change around. Fourth to number 77, Matt Thomas. Colin Chapman was 5th in the 63 car, just ahead of number 8, Dan Clues. Paul Rogers, 43, he climbed back to 7th place ahead of 72, Jonathan McGill, and 21, Phil Hutchins. Carl Austin in 44 rounded out the top 10. Stephen Dean was 11th, a lap down. Gary Mitchell 12th in the first of the 2 Global GT lights. Daniel Ashby was 13th, and Ian Mitchell the 14th and final finisher. We lost on the way Paul Smith, Ian Hutchinson and James Foley. And the Sports 1000 Championship, well, that will continue at Alton Park on the 14th of May. They'll then go to Pembrey, Donington Park, Brands Hatch and Snetterton to complete their season. 14 rounds over 6 events. Good fun watching the Sports 1000s this weekend. Still to come here at Croft today, we have the K-Tech Racing Clay Sport Championship. That's up next then. Master 7s, Hot Hatches, Classic Stock Hatch, MX5s and the 116 Trophy 90-minute race to round out a busy weekend's action here at Croft Circuit. The first of 2 visits this year by the 750 Motor Club. Let's head down to the pit lane to hear from our race winner with Chris Stephens.
Well, another dominant performance from Richard Webb. Richard, another fantastic drive.
Yeah, it was nice to get the weather today. We knew there was a 23 in the car, so that was sort of our, we knew we had more pace left. So the plan was to get away. We got a great start, find our rhythm, put some laps in, put a gap in there and just bring it home.
I mean, it's a very ominous start to the championship for the rest of the field. Can we expect performances like this for the rest of the year?
This is what we're aiming for at every meeting, so we'll certainly give it our best shot. It won't be due to a lack of trying, that's for sure.
All right, well, congratulations. A fantastic weekend. Absolutely perfect for car number 88, Richard Webb. Let's go and talk to Ryan Yarrow, car number 1, second across the line. But we understand you picked up a time penalty for track limits right at the end there.
Did I? All right, don't know.
Okay. Well,
I saw a warning once, so I don't know. I never saw a board.
Okay, we think that's dropped you behind Michael, but you had a really good battle with Michael at the end there.
Yeah, well, he was there the whole time. I think I cooked my tyres kind of halfway through the race, and it was just getting more and more difficult, really. But I picked up a lot of pace through the weekend anyway, so I'm pleased about that. That's about it, really.
I mean, last season it was just you and Michael battling for the wins all season long. Are we expecting a lot more battles between you two this season?
Yeah, well, I would think so, but we need to obviously bring Richard into it as well. Yeah, I mean, it's the first weekend. It's took me all weekend just to wake up, I think, and kind of get my eye back in. I'm 20 kilos over the weight limit, so I've got plenty of stuff to improve on. Like I say, I'm just pleased that even though he still put a gap into us, I was a bit closer this time. I'm more bothered about the pace with a long season than whether I got a penalty or not, to be honest. Because if you're miles off the pace, you're just kind of flogging a dead horse anyway.
All right, well, perhaps better luck at the next round. Congratulations. Another great result there. Let's go and talk to Michael Roots, car number 2, just having a word with Scott Mattel there, the team boss of Mattel Cars. Michael, so we understand Ryan picked up a time penalty right at the end there. It was promoted you to second place, but you had a really good battle with both Paul and Ryan during that race.
Yeah, that was quite exciting. Yeah, I got a really bad start, so it was a bit of a recovery mode sort of from there on. And yeah, just a shame I couldn't come out of the first corner second and then try and see what I could do. I think the pace was there in the car, just that through the fast stuff. I was always in a car slipstream and it was just washing out all the time, so a bit hard to follow. And but no, it was enjoyable.
It seemed like the Spire was really quick out of that final hairpin. Where were you able to make up the ground?
I think sunny in, sunny out I was able to, and that. Then the next left and the next right. I think that was the strong part of our car. And yeah, it did struggle. I think everyone was struggling a little bit with that last corner, just over enthusiasm from all of our part, I think. So it was me and Paul, when I was behind Paul, he had a few moments as well. So that was exciting. I thought, is he going off now, or do I? So it was one of those. Do I go for an aggressive move or get in an accident with him? I wasn't sure what was going to happen because it was all over the place. But he was really fast, considering how the car was. I was surprised how fast he was. So once he gets that sorted, because he's been plagued with issues all weekend. So it was nice to see him finish. He finished the race, I assume, Paul. So yeah, well done to him.
Oh, well, congratulations, great result, and we look forward to seeing more great battles between you and Ryan throughout the rest of the season. Lining up on the grid now, starting their green flag lap, it is the K-Tech Racing Clio Sport Championship.